my lovelies, my name is Stephanie and welcome back to my channel and my brand new little backdrop. There's pictures going on over there and different coloured walls and things and pillows. The pictures on the walls will be changing because I don't 100% like them. We're there. Also, first thing to address, happy Transgender Day of Visibility for the Friday just gone. So for those of you that don't know, Transgender Day of Visibility happens every year on March 31st to raise the visibility and therefore awareness of trans people, trans talent, trans existence, crimes against trans people, etc, etc, etc. The list really does go on. And I've got my cute little trans pride earrings that I wear every Transgender Day of Visibility that were a gift from my baby sister because she's adorable. But yes, my name is Stephanie, or Steph, and welcome back to my channel, Stephanie Lynette. Here on my channel I talk about everything from trans existence to my surgery palaver to, in the future, hoping to talk about things like makeup and little tutorials and things like that. So yeah, welcome to my channel if you're new here. And today I wanted to make a short but sweet video in honour of Transgender Day of Visibility, because a question I get asked quite a lot is why I choose to be visible. Now this is a really interesting question because obviously I am very, very privileged in the fact that I transitioned very, very early and therefore I have passing privilege. Now I did a video on passing privilege previously, which I will link above in whichever corner I decide to link it in. And I spoke about the pros and cons of passing privilege and how I was over it, because it can often be viewed as diminishing the trans experience if you're someone who benefits from passing privilege, and that is not the case. But that's not to say that it doesn't make some things easier, and I'm very aware of that and I address all of that in the video. So if you're watching this video and you want to hear me talk about my passing privilege and the implications of that, then go and watch that video and then come back to this one. But what's really interesting for me is I'm a trans individual, a trans woman who has passing privilege. Although I'm very, very tall, I stand at 6'3". I have very large feet. I have passing privilege because I transitioned before puberty. Transitioning before puberty for me meant no facial hair growth, no dropping of the voice, although I did do elocution lessons to give myself a higher pitched voice when I was younger. And it meant no additional growth from puberty, although I did grow very tall, but I should have been much taller. It meant that I didn't have to deal with a huge amount of genitalia related dysphoria in terms of size and hair growth and things like that. And so for myself, there are definitely areas in which I massively benefit. You know, I can blend in quite easily. People just assume that I'm a very large woman. And I know that a lot of people see that as the dream, as the goal in terms of transition, is to pass. And so I have to talk about this very carefully because I know for some people it's so aspirational. But for myself, there's a very easy reason that I choose to be visible, and that's because I tried it the other way and it wasn't for me. It didn't work. It wasn't a lifestyle that I enjoyed. I tried to live stealth for a very, very long time. And for those of you that don't know, when a trans person refers to living stealth, it means living within their chosen identity. So for me, someone who was born male and then transitioned and became a trans woman, being stealth would be living as a woman and not identifying or openly identifying as being trans. And I tried that for many, many years, and that was my goal, like it is for so many other trans people, which is a completely valid goal. But I found that I was constantly comparing myself to cisgendered women, and I found that I was competing for space occupied by cisgendered women, and I found that it was a really unpleasant way to live my life, because I was constantly looking over my shoulder, I was constantly second guessing myself, I was constantly checking my own validity in terms of being a woman and identifying in that way. And so for me, the reason I choose to be visible comes primarily from the fact that I did it the other way and I didn't like it. I tried it, I didn't like it, I much prefer being visible. But then the other side of that coin is that I found so much freedom in being openly trans. And now being openly trans as opposed to being visibly trans, there's a little bit of a difference there, because obviously I still benefit from passing privilege. So in terms of being visibly trans in my physical appearance, I'm not necessarily visibly trans, but the way that I try and combat that is I am publicly trans. I have an internet persona, I have, well, not really a persona, it's just me, I'm just really kooky. I have, you know, internet avenues, I do trustee work, I work with trans charities, I open queer museums, and so for myself, I try and combat the fact that I benefit from that privilege and talk about all of those issues on a platform in a much bigger way. And so I found so much freedom and identity in doing that. I found so much joy and community in sharing my story, and I do it in the hopes that it will help one other person. You know, there are many different types of people who view my channel. There is obviously going to be people who view my channel because they find my passing privilege to be aspirational, and that's fine. And to those humans I say welcome, and I hope you're having a great and very liberated day and you're avoiding transphobia. But I share my journey and my thought process and my surgery and all of those things because I genuinely believe that my 16-year-old self would have benefited massively from seeing someone like me on the internet, someone who is living their life as well as being a trans person. And so those are the reasons I do it. That's why I choose to be visible. And I wanted to make this video because obviously we've just had Transgender Day of Visibility and I choose to be visible on multiple platforms. And so I thought you were justified in knowing the reasons why I choose to be visible, but remember that you don't owe anyone an explanation. If you want to give it, then great, like I am right now, I'm giving an explanation as to why I choose to be a visible trans woman, but you don't owe anyone that. You don't owe anyone passing. Similarly, you don't owe anyone living stealth. You don't owe anyone gender conformity, none of those things. And just because a lot of people see me as someone who exists within the parameters of the gender norm doesn't necessarily mean that I don't choose to be visible at every opportunity I can. And I appreciate, like I said, very privileged position. I have passing privilege and I'm choosing to be visible, but I still benefit from a lot of the safety of everyday living as a you know, gender conforming trans woman. But that's why I choose to be visible, and that's what I wanted to share with you today in honor of Transgender Day of Visibility, the reason behind why I choose to be visible, the driving force between the decision that made me. And like I said, I tried it the other way and I hated it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the person I was when I was comparing myself to cisgendered people. I found liberation, freedom and community in sharing my identity as a trans woman, and I love being online and helping other people just by sharing my story. So that's today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are one of my returning subscribers and you've made it this far into the video, then well done you. But as you can tell, I am back on a weekly basis. I finally found some, you know, structure and the ability to produce content again, which is lovely. And so if there are any videos that you would like to see, then please drop them just down below in the comments section. I hope you're having a lovely liberated day. I hope you are avoiding transphobia. I hope you chose to be visible this Transgender Day of Visibility, but if you didn't, there's no judgment. Everyone is welcome here. I hope you have a lovely, lovely day, and I will see you next week for another video. Bye!